Welcome to part 3 of coffee roasting at home. In this segment, we'll be looking at budget coffee roasting setups for under $100. I highly recommend checking out the 2 other segments before this one, where I talk about if you should roast your own coffee and the basics of coffee roasting. Let me just share my experience with roasting coffee. So I've tried out 3 different roasting methods so far. The cast iron skillet, I've done the Breadmaker and Heatgun, and I've also done the popcorn popper. And all of these methods work. However, I would highly recommend ignoring the first method, the cast iron skillet, because the direct heat just creates a really uneven roast, and it's kind of inferior to the 2 other methods that use hot air. If I would have to choose between the popcorn popper and the Breadmaker and Heatgun, I would recommend the popcorn popper because it's cheap and easy. The big downside of the popcorn popper is really that there is no temperature control, and also you're limited to the batch size of around 100 grams of coffee. With the Breadmaker and Heatgun, you can control the heat by changing the setting on your heat gun or moving your heat gun closer or further away from the coffee beans. The amount of coffee you can roast in one go in a Breadmaker and Heatgun setup is also way bigger at around 500 grams per batch. The Breadmaker and Heatgun setup requires a lot of tweaking, and the equipment might go over $100, but I recommend checking out used stores and flea markets where you can get a Breadmaker for pretty cheap. Now let's go into the step-by-step guide of how to roast with the popcorn popper and also the Breadmaker and Heatgun. I've already made a guide on the cast iron skillet that you can find down below. And before I go into the steps, I just want to say that the steps are easy to do. The hard thing is to know when to remove the beans from the roaster and also maintaining a consistent heat that you want. These are the steps for the popcorn popper. Turn on your popcorn popper, pour the green coffee beans in, and make sure to not overfill it because it will easily overflow once the beans crack and expand in size. Stir to promote bean movement. Once the beans expand and get lighter, they will move way more on their own. Keep roasting until you've reached the roast level that you want. Then pour the beans into a colander and shake it out. And that's it, you're done. These are the steps for the Breadmaker and Heatgun. Turn on the knead/continuous setting on your Breadmaker. It'll keep on whirling around. Then pour in the green coffee beans. Make sure to not fill it too high up. Now turn on your Heatgun. It should be at around 1000 degrees Fahrenheit or 550 degrees Celsius. When you've determined that the roast is the color that you want, you remove the beans from the Breadmaker and you pour it into a colander and shake it out. And that's it, you're done. If you've now watched all 3 segments of this video series on coffee roasting at home, you should be equipped with the knowledge to start off and roast your first batch. If you didn't watch part 1 of the series where I talk about if you should even start roasting your own coffee beans at all, you can find that here. And if you want to check out part 2 where I talk about the basics of coffee roasting, you can find that right over here. I'll see you in the next video.